Welcome everyone to our capability statement workshop. We have our past national board chair, Molly Gimmel, who is going to lead us, and I will allow her to do her introduction and to take it from here. Thank you so much, Molly.
So today we're going to be talking about capability statements. These are one-pagers that give companies information about your potential customers, information about your company. What happens is that when you go to meet with a potential customer, a lot of times they'll ask for a leave behind, and they're looking for something that's a little bit more detailed than what they would get looking at your website. They want to know more information because a lot of times, especially if you're meeting with like a large company supplier diversity person or a government small business office person, they meet with hundreds of small businesses every month, and they want something that will help them remember you and remember what your services are and your capabilities. So want to talk about what goes into a really strong capability statement. Okay, so I went on Canva and downloaded a few of their sample templates for capability statements because I thought you want to make it as easy as possible. So the first thing you want to do is make sure it's branded in your brand. So your logo, your colors, you want it to look like your company. And so here are some of the sample templates that they have on Canva. So here's one dental clinic. So you can see it's a one-pager that just gives a snapshot of your company, but in a little bit more detail than what they would find on your website. So they call it a fact sheet on Canva, not a capability statement, but same thing. So what you want, like I said, you want it to be branded with your brand. You want your company colors, the same kind of style that they would get from anything that you do. They want a description of who you are, a short one-paragraph description of about your company. What you offer, what are your services, what are your products? Other things about you, like here, this one has awards. This one has visit our store at. This is, your contact information. But what they want to hear is more than, like I said, more than just what's on your website. So I'm gonna show you my companies. So we are a government contractor. We meet with government small business people all the time. And this is what the government people are looking for. And I think it's pretty similar to what a big corporation's supplier diversity person is looking for. So this is the one sheet that we have put together that tells about the services that we provide for federal agencies. So first, it's our logo, it's our colors. It looks clean. The print is pretty big. So this is a lot bigger than you would use on like a document. So I think it's 16 point or 14 point, something like that. Start off with a title, government services. So right away it tells you, these are services that we provide for the government. We talk about a very brief summary about what we do. Our mission is to help government agencies operate more effectively and efficiently. We do this by providing knowledgeable and experienced personnel to support agencies in blah, 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 blah. So that gives you a snapshot. And then we get into detail. So we've divided our government services into 6 buckets. And then under each one, we've got some bullets of what that means. So acquisition management, contract administration, program management, administrative support, financial management, database management. These are the things that we do for federal agencies. And then in case someone wants to go in and say, well, what exactly does that mean, program management? Oh, yeah, we do scheduling support, deliverable tracking. So it gives them a little bit more detail. And then down here, we've got our kind of snapshot of our methodology, of our program management methodology. Then on the back, because when you print this, you want to print it front and back on one sheet of paper. It gives our past performance, our experience. It tells them what other customers, what other government agencies have we performed these services for. So right here, they can turn it over and they can see, oh, okay. So for all of these different agencies, we've done all of the different services. So this tells them for Department of Agriculture, we did the acquisition management, contract management, purchase card policy. For Naval Surface Warfare Center Philadelphia, we did contract administration and administrative support. So another thing that you could do is have testimonials on the back from your customers. One of the key things that they want to know is who are your customers, who have you provided these services for, and are they happy with them? With the government, it's very easy. There's a database called CPARS, where when you finish a government contract, the customer goes in and gives you ratings. So any other government agency can go in and look it up. So what they can do is they say, oh, you've done some work for General Services Administration. They can go into CPARS and look up what we did and how the customer rated us. For commercial customers, that obviously isn't a thing that exists right now, a reference database, although that might not be a bad idea. Actually, if it might not though, because if for some reason they don't like you, regardless of something you did or didn't do, there's no way to change the rating in the system. But having testimonials from your clients could be a really great way to show, hey, we did XYZ for this client and they loved it, and here's what they had to say about it. The other thing that you want to make sure you put in there is your data. So you're a woman-owned business. Any certifications that you have, such as NAWBO's WBE or MWBE certification. With the government, they want to know your cage code, your DUNS number. These are different databases that you have to register with. They want to know what contract vehicles you have, such as a GSA schedule. So how are they able to purchase from you? What type of business that you are. Like I said, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, minority-owned small disadvantaged business. Those are government terms, but same thing as WBE, MWBE. They want to know what your NAICS codes are. So is everybody familiar with NAICS codes? You know what those are? It stands for North American Industrial Classification System. And those are codes that government agencies and a lot of companies use to classify the type of product or service that they're buying. So our main code is 541611. And a lot of times when you meet with these supplier diversity people, they put your information into a database. And that's one of the ways that they search the database when they have a need later on. So they might say, oh, we need a company that does program management support. How do we find that company? Well, they could search based on keywords, but it's a whole lot easier to narrow it down if they search based on NAICS codes. So that comes under 541611. They put that in the database and it gives them a list of companies that have that NAICS code so that they can then narrow down the list. So you want to put all of those types of information. If you only serve customers in a certain geographical area, you want to put that on your capability statement. So all of those types of classification type information, you want to make sure is on your capability statement. So depending on what you do, you might want to have pictures. So this one that I pulled from Canva, about us, it gives them some stats, 1,090 properties sold in 2029. Obviously that hasn't happened yet. 4 stars according to blah, 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 what they do, and then how to contact them. This one, the dental clinic, I really like the picture, gives you an idea. It's in their brand colors. Here's the thing about capability statements. You want to make sure it looks as professional as possible, because this is the first example of the work that you do that your potential customer is going to see. And if they see something that looks sloppy, that has typos, that the bullets don't line up straight. Even if you're not a graphic designer, there are enough templates out there like the ones on Canva that you can find to make them look professional. Because if it looks a mess, that they're going to assume that the work that you do is a mess. I see there's some things in the chat. Is there questions or is it just okay, great. Yes, cpars.gov. Thank you for whoever posted that. Rose,
Yeah,
question.
just a quick comment, and it just may be me. I found that Canva can be, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like it's limited on real estate when you're doing it in Canva, and it just doesn't print out well. And so I created mine in Canva, and then I recreated it. I went back and recreated it in Word. I just found that
Mhm.
fitting more things when you do it in Word, like you could fit more things when you did it in Word versus when you try to do it in Canva. So I just wanted to share that. If you have
Okay,
a lot that
great.
you need to put on there.
Great. Yeah, for sure. I mean, use the ones that work for you. And in Canva, you can even find other templates for other things and personalize them to work for you. Some people like to do it in Word and then PDF it. Some people like to do it in Microsoft Publisher and PDF it. They've got some really good templates in Publisher as well. But you don't want to just throw something together that looks like a Word document that you've just thrown together, basically. Like I said, this is the customer's first glimpse of the work, this quality of the work that you do. And if it looks messy, they're not going to want to hire you to do other stuff.
Molly, I have a quick question. Should the final
Yep.
version be in PDF that you share, or so it should always end up as a PDF?
It should always end up as a PDF.
Okay.
You should have actual hard copies with you printed out for one page, but front and back, to when you go meet with them, because some people want to have that hard copy. Others prefer to have electronic. So you can ask them, do you prefer, when you meet with them, give them the hard copy. Some of them will want to keep it. Some of them will give it back to you and say, this is great, but can you email it to me when you get home? So make sure you have it on email. The reason you want to have it PDF is when you email it, it won't screw up the formatting. If you send a Word document by email, if they have different printer settings and things like that, it can screw up the formatting. So you always want to have it PDF so that it looks like what you want it to look like. A lot of companies also post their capability statements on their website so that any potential customer that's looking and comes across you in a Google search can download it and have that information. Another thing to think about is having more than one capability statement. So if your company does a broad variety of different things, you can have a different capability statement for each one and bring whichever is most applicable with you when you're meeting with a potential client. Questions? Whenever they ask you to upload or send your capability statement, they accept PDF, correct?
I have another question, Molly. So, do you find that most women, most business owners have someone outsource this document, have a professional format and do it for them, just like a resume writer, or do women usually do it themselves?
Most I've seen have been done themselves.
Okay.
It's not a bad idea. If you have no computer skills, no graphic design type skills whatsoever, then outsourcing it probably is not a bad idea because you want it to look professional. You want it to look well put together. And so, yeah, some people just, suck at that kind of thing, and that's fine
Yeah.
because they have skills in other areas. So if that's you, I would say definitely outsource it.
Okay. Thank you, Molly. And that might be even a good fit for utilizing services on Fiverr. Actually, we have
Yeah,
a lot of,
that's a great, yeah. Like find somebody on Fiverr or a VA that specializes in graphic design and get them to to do it. I'm sure there's also NAWBO members who do it.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, we could.
All right.
This is a
So
real
can everybody
live
see
one.
this? The real live one.
Yay.
All right. So Sadler Consulting Group, Desiree Sadler, 14 years in business. Love this. Human resources, Cage code. That's important. DUNS number, NAICS code. Very, very good. Very good. It looks clean. Notice how each section is kind of separated. They're each in a different section, different boxes. So it looks very organized. Like that. Company overview. Here you go. A woman-owned training and development firm in Los Angeles. Certifications, State of California, WBE, MBE. Core competencies, past clients, strategic partners, and resources. Okay. Strategically, we decided to partner instead of compete with world-class to develop one. I wouldn't say instead of compete with, I would just say we partner with world-class training and development firms to create win-win solutions. The other bit is a little unnecessary, just my opinion. But I think having this list is great because they want to see that you have these partnerships. Yeah. Developing success, reform, learn different, be different, lead different. Great. Yeah, except, I mean, that's really my only, except for right here, this bullet, this third bullet, the development training is weird spacing formatting going on, Desiree. I'd fix that.
Okay.
And Molly, how important is it to list under, and I'm asking because I really don't know, for your certifications, exactly where they're from? So I see State of California and then WBE, MBE, is it super important to list what certifying agency did your certifications?
You probably should, yeah. Now, are this WBE and MBE? Is that the NAWBO WBE and MBE, or is that the State of California?
The State of California.
Okay. So then, yeah, I wouldn't do the comma because then it makes it seem like State of California is a different certification from the WBE and MBE. Also, the certifications, I would make that the same kind of centered and bolded as the other, as company overview for consistency, because it seems kind of like an afterthought the way it is there. But yeah, I would do it. So I would do State of California, WBE, MBE, and then once you get your NAWBO certification, which I'm assuming that's on its way because you're on this call.
Yep.
Then I would say NAWBO, WBE,
Right.
MWBE.
Yep, I'm filling
And
out
maybe
the
even put the
paperwork
logo.
as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other feedback? I really, and I like the way you said about the competing, but more like partnering and just that these are who we partner with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Okay.
why do they need to know that? I would just make it as concise as possible, you know?
Okay.
Just say
Okay.
we partner with world-class training and development firms to create win-win solutions. Boom. I think that makes it just a much stronger statement.
Okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, and then down here, the only other thing that I might change personally is putting all this stuff at the bottom as opposed to on the top. Because it's very busy.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
The stuff at the top with your NAICS codes and all this stuff is just very busy. I might have your logo and then have the company overview paragraph in this top box. And then have this box here have all of the stuff.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense because you want the overview to be highlighted anyway, right?
Right. You want to give them
Okay.
the narrative, the descriptor, as opposed to, the busyness at the top.
Right. Okay. Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the presentation is nice. I like how it's well organized in different sections, so that's really good. So just a few comments. Yeah, Dr.
Thank you
Pamela,
so
you're
much. I appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing that, Desiree. Thanks so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. Thank
Oh,
you.
good, Dr. Pamela.
Oh, yes, I was actually going to make a comment based on a class that I recently did with some corporations. And one of the things that they recommended was for past clients, focusing that in on the ones that would be relevant for who you're giving it to. And so that would be one. So that would mean that for the past clients, it would be maybe 3 to 5, and it would be within the industry of whoever you're targeting as a prospective new client. And then instead of capability statements similar to what you had with government services, it would be a statement that gets their attention. So something like the difference that you make with training and development for a company. So just having that as a statement at the top to describe what they're going to be seeing in this capability statement.
I
Yeah,
like that.
that's a good suggestion. Like I said earlier, sometimes companies have multiple capability statements for different
Mhm.
types of services. They might have them also for different industries. So,
Mhm.
for example, you have your list of past clients. Some of them are cities and states, and some of them are other. So, Motion Picture Association is going to have different needs than the Los Angeles County School District so
Right.
yeah, you might want to have one that's specifically for public sector and then another for private sector. And then
Mhm.
that would free up room maybe to put a small description of what you did for that client or a testimonial from that client.
I love that.
Um,
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. I really like that idea. You're right, because it is a wide range of clients, right? And so I like that
mhm,
it's more specific towards that
mhm,
industry. Thank you.
yeah. And
Very good suggestion.
you only have it as a one pager here. You've got the back too. So maybe use the back to put the testimonials or the contract descriptions. Um,
Mhm. Okay.
you got a whole nother sheet of room that you can use for that information that really
Okay.
provides, what is your differentiator, and talk about maybe if you
Right.
have some kind of a service that's really different from what your competitors, you can talk about what that is and how it's helped your clients on
That's
the back.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course, I have another question. So, you know, oftentimes, even just for me doing a resume, sometimes I often want to, is there a minimum font size that you should consider?
Yes. I would say never go smaller than 12, because any smaller than that, it gets hard for people to read.
And can you go, and then larger than
Bigger
maybe
is fine.
bigger is, okay, perfect.
I mean, you don't want the whole thing to be in 25. That would be too big because it would seem like you're shouting everything, right?
Exactly, exactly.
But yeah, I would say probably like 14, 12 to 14.
Okay.
So Molly, I added mine to the chat, not
Okay,
open.
great.
You're in good hands
Yeah.
here.
So with
All right,
this
so here we go.
one, yeah. So this was workshop previously, and this is specifically for Cleveland Clinic, and they refer to their employees as caregivers. And so that's why I have that in the title of it.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So you got your company details here, a lovely picture of you. Founded that, DUNS number, NAICS codes, like we talked about, certifications, contact information at the bottom. Okay. Capability statement, provides education. Okay. I mean, I think this is good information. One thing on presentation, it's kind
Mhm.
of plain.
Mhm.
You know, I'm guessing that well, your logo is green, mostly green with some orange, but everything else is
Right.
purple. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
where the purple came from, if you just like purple, but
Me
it's not
either.
consistent.
Right.
I would probably do some kind of boxes or some colored something to make it just a little bit more interesting to look at. Down here, past performance, you've got, you know, logos for Johns Hopkins and Dayton Children's, and this is another thing for Desiree. You know, if you do targeted capability, separate targeted ones, adding in the customer logos makes it more interesting to look at as well. So that is good, but at the same time, you don't talk about here what did you do for Johns Hopkins? What did you do for Dayton Children's? So, and what were the results? So you've got lots of space, you've got lots of empty space on the page. So that's definitely something that I would add in because that's what they want to know. Is your education really a differentiator?
For what I do with this, it is.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, if you're going to put it as a
Mhm.
bullet under differentiators, say why why is that a differentiator?
Okay.
How does having an MBA from Tuck and a PhD from Stanford make you different from other companies that might do similar work?
Okay.
I like the first bullet, the proven proprietary solution, keep calm, resulted in parents saving 100+ hours of their time, 95% of teens admitted top choice. That's fantastic. This, that right there. In fact, I might even take that and put that at the very, very top because that is your selling point. That first bullet right there under differentiator, that's your selling point. So I would, probably like have your intro paragraph and then put it underneath the intro paragraph in bigger, bolder font, maybe colored font, because that's what they want to know. How is your solution going to benefit them? So that's what I would do. Let me read this intro paragraph real quick. We find the right school for children to blah, blah, blah. That's great. That's great. Okay, I don't know, but the last sentence kind of to support parents balancing work and career. I think the last sentence is a little extraneous. I don't know that it's necessary. Also, and this is a major, just a tiny little nit, is that you've got 2 spaces between planning and for. And that's just, as the editor in me can't help but see that. I know not everybody does, but I would fix that. So yeah, I think that those are my suggestions here. I would take this bullet number 1 differentiator, move it up, make it huge, make it colorful, make the whole thing just look a little bit more in tune with your brand colors, and put more information here under past performance about what you did for these and what the results were, any testimonials, things like that.
And Dr. Pamela, you were recently NAWBO certified, so our logo can
Yes,
go
so
under
I will add that.
certification.
Yeah, get that logo in there. Get that logo in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Molly.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And if anyone else has any feedback, I'd definitely love to hear it.
What about, so Molly, your comment on the color? If so her logo colors were what, green and, was it green and orange? What would be
Yeah.
some suggestions? Should she go black and green maybe? I'm just curious where to add some, you know.
Yeah, I would use the green. you know, she's got all these headlines in purple. I would use probably the green for some of them, or maybe the orange for some of them, the same
Okay.
color. I mean, that compass is really cool looking, that orange graphic for the O. Maybe, you know, use it at the beginning, you know, before each of the headlines, either put it in with each headline, or pick an O in your, you know, for core, put it as the O in core, or, you know, something, you know, you have fun with it, make it more interesting, bring it out more.
Oh, or for the bullet points too, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or you, instead of using bullets, use the compass as the bullet point. Yeah, have fun with it, make it, you know, bring out your brand personality more with it.
Those are really good
Um,
suggestions.
Nan asked the question, if we're not doing business with the federal government, do you need a DUNS and a NAICS code? You do not need a DUNS or a CAGE code, but you should use NAICS codes. Yes, a lot of the large companies do use the NAICS codes to search from. So you don't need a DUNS or a CAGE. You do need the NAICS. And let me tell you, let me stop share. And so some of you are probably asking, how do I find my NAICS code? Census.gov/NAICS. So the Census Department manages the NAICS system. So you can do a search. You want to use the 2022 because they changed the standards, and put in your keywords. So for example, say education, since we're looking at the compass one, let's look at education. So put in a search and it gives you the different codes that have the word education in them. So in terms of this one, like educational curriculum development, educational consultant, cyber education, probably not, continuing education. So this is how you find your code, is census.gov/NAICS.
Are there some industries that maybe it's hard to find an ACE code for? Where you have to
There might,
generalize
but
it?
you might have to do a few searches,
Mhm.
but you know, accounting. And as you can see, accounting machines, wholesalers. Okay, here's certified public accounting. Here's non-CPA accounting services. Here's medical coding with accounting, general accounting office. So there might be multiple ones that, and you might have to try a few different keywords. If you put in one and it doesn't have anything come up, you might have to try something else similar. Teresa, you have your hand raised.
It is a different topic, so I don't want to change the subject if somebody else has more questions about this.
Nan Marie, was your question about NAICS codes? Okay, go ahead, Teresa.
Molly.
Oh, I can't hear you, Nan.
Okay, my question is, do you have to do anything through SAM? Do you just put the next code in and it doesn't mean anything, or do you have to get certified in a way where the next code means something?
You only have to be registered in SAM if you're planning to sell to the federal government.
Okay.
That's sam.gov.
But
is the government's database. Anybody can use the codes just to classify companies. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, for those of you who might be interested in doing business with the government, one of the reasons that we have these codes is because that determines what code you have, determines whether or not you're a small business, according to the government. So each code has a different, what's called size threshold, because it's not, a small business is not defined as one specific thing with the government. So it's different depending on what kind of services you provide. So for example, let's click on 541219.
Would you go back and
would
you use the one that we were interested in and looking at before, which was 611430?
611430.
Sounded like that's pretty much what we were talking about.
The continuing education? Sure. So this just tells us actually what the description of it is. It doesn't tell us the size standard. The size standard actually is a different website. But with the government, if you're with the federal government, whether you're a small business or not is determined by your code. And it's based on either your company revenues or your number of employees. Generally, if for services, it's based on company revenues. If it's for products, it's based on number of employees, and it's a different size. So some NAICS codes, to be classified as a small business, you have to be under $15 million in revenue. Some it's 30 million, some it's 50 million, and that's mostly IT. With products, it's based on number of employees. For some codes, it's 100 employees. For some codes, it's 500 employees.
And it doesn't,
that's the-
neither one of those consider the income and assets of the business
It's the
owner?
business. It's the business, not,
Okay.
it's just revenues. It's not about the ownership. That's just small business. Second, does anyone else have any other questions about code,
So-
NAICS codes, or anything else? Okay, Nan's got enough questions.
So is the only limitation where we get into the income and assets of the owner of the business, is that just in the economically disadvantaged business and minority?
That's just for certain certifications. Yeah, certain federal certifications. So that's for the 8A certification
Right.
and the economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certification, and those are federal certifications.
And so if you
Yes.
can't meet those, then you don't have to worry too
You're
much.
still
if
a
you
small
get
business.
Small business classification. Okay.
You
all
could
right.
still be a small business. You're just not as economically disadvantaged woman.
Right.
And you could still be a woman-owned small business, just not an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. And those are government certifications, not the certifications that NAWBO provides.
And do you
NAWBO
have,
provides the
to then go to SAM to be able to get that certification, or where do you get it?
Yes. So there are certain, which one? The
The
EDWSB?
No, the woman-owned small business.
Just woman-owned small business? Yes, you can either self-certify through the government's program, or you can do that through one of the third-party certifiers. There's three organizations that are authorized by the SBA to do as third-party certifiers for WOSB, woman-owned small business. Those are WeBank, NWBOC, and the U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce are the three third-party certifiers for what we call WOSB or EdWOSB. We, NAWBO, are planning to apply to be another third-party certifier for that, but we're not there yet. So it'll probably be another year or two before we get that as well.
I'll go ahead and while we're waiting to see if anyone has a statement to share, I'll ask, what's something that you should absolutely not put on a capability statement that business owners often do put on there? And maybe you can't answer that, but I was just thinking, what's the not to do list?
I wouldn't put any pricing information on a capability statement. One, because you don't know, and if that's information you don't want them necessarily to have. The other thing is that, you don't know what the customer's budget is. And if you put your pricing information, it may either make them say, oh, they're too expensive for me, and not even have the conversation, or it may, maybe we're planning to pay a whole lot more, and then you just left money on the table without even knowing it. So I would not put pricing information on a capability statement. I would wait to have that discussion and then have them ask you for a proposal.
That's a great point, Molly.
Mm-hmm.
We have a statement that's been shared.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mine. I recently put a draft version of it for my business. I do design and construction. Of course, there is not much as some other businesses. I am just trying to clarify my services and what I do basically. And I decided to add some pictures to get some visuals because I am basically doing visuals for other people. So I thought it might help.
I love the pictures
Thank you.
and I like how they're laid out. That looks really good. I'm not sure what that black box on the left there is.
Well,
Um,
I have some sort of setup related with my proposals and everything, so that's part of the layout, but I can definitely remove it. It looks odd.
yeah, it does look odd.
Okay.
The other thing I would do there at the top is I would not full justify those top paragraphs there.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you can see, the first line of the second paragraph, when you full justify it, it makes this weird spacing
Okay.
where it says our design services encompass master planning, comma. So I would always left justify things, not full just. But let's see, products and services, initial products, team goals, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Kimberly, can you scroll up some?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. So here, I think this is great in terms of the products and services. Although, is it really products and services or is this your process?
I think it's
Because
just
that's
the
what it sounds like, is this is a
approach.
process
Mm-hmm. Yes.
or an approach or a process. Yeah, or I would change it since from products and services to maybe our approach.
Okay.
And then on the last one under consultation, the spacing, the line spacing is very different from the rest of them, and it makes it look a little bit weird. Because it looks like it's double spaced, whereas the others are all single spaced.
Yeah, I am waiting
You
some
see what I'm saying?
confirmation on the certificate, so they are coming here. I am just trying to leave some space on the left to add my service, my certificates.
Yeah, no, I'm saying format wise,
Oh.
under where it says under consultation, your bullets are the lines are double spaced, whereas the ones above it are all single spaced. So that makes it look a little bit odd.
Yes, I can fix it easily.
So I would fix that.
Mhm.
So you say landscape design capability, then you have hotels and resorts, residential, blah, blah, blah. That's those are like types of customers. So I would
Kind
say
of,
like instead of
because
landscape, I would say like industries.
most people are asking if I do both commercial and residential or only residential. So when I say commercial, they always think about restaurants or like small businesses. But then commercial includes also hotels or
Sure.
other locations. So I try to explain it a little clearly, whoever is reading.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm saying I would change the headline
Mhm.
where it says landscape design capability. I would change that headline to match what it's saying underneath is like the types of customers that you support.
Okay.
Because it's what that is like, the types of customers that you have,
Mhm.
not landscape design capability. Now, are you primarily landscape or are you all kinds of design and construction?
I'm a general contractor, so I do all kinds, but our specific area is landscape. So I prefer to just focus on that on this one. They told me that I can do design and construction separate, but there is not much to fill in, so it looks a little bit empty. So this is why I combine it both. So
Okay. I was asking because in your summary paragraph under the title, under the name of your company on the left, under the pictures, under the pictures, you say Toolbox is a design and construction firm. I mean, if you prefer to be landscape, then I would say is a landscape design and construction firm.
Well, some people don't understand landscape includes outdoor kitchens or California rooms and everything. So if I do design, then when we propose additional services to expand the space, that kind of hit the spot, you
Got
know?
it.
This is why we discuss everything with my design team.
I see. Okay. I mean, I think it's just a little bit confusing because I'm not sure if you're talking about just general design or landscape design. Because
Okay.
under where you have contact, it has landscape designer and founder. So that makes it sound like you're primarily talking about landscape design.
Only change every wording like landscape design to constant same wording. So I think that will be helpful.
Yeah, just have it be consistent. And, you know, if you want, maybe do two separate ones, one for construction, like
Mhm.
building California rooms or whatever, and then one for landscaping
Okay.
or landscape design. Because I think your process, your approach is the same for both.
Mhm.
So that can be the same. Yeah, I love your pictures. They're beautiful.
Thank you. Those are
I'm a landscape person myself. I love landscape design stuff. I
Uh-huh.
kind of wish I had known it was a career possibility when I was in college because I think it's super fun.
It's fun, but I don't know. The business is going in a different location right now, so
Is it?
it's all the handymans and gardeners. People don't
Mm.
really know like what design and construction different than a gardener
Yeah.
or a cheap handyman, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are my comments. I would just make it a little bit clearer, just clean up the formatting a little bit.
Well, that's
Um,
very helpful. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Anything else before I stop sharing?
Can you scroll down to the very bottom? I don't think I saw the very bottom. Okay, yeah. So we've got the website, the office address, the contact information. That's all good. Yeah. And then, yeah, just the bottom right corner is just unclear what it is you're talking about. So I would just make that clearer.
Sure, I will make the
Right.
title more clear. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You can stop sharing now. Thanks, Kimberly. All right. So Go HR, your Go HR source. All right. So we've got our company description, company overview, our team. I would probably switch those, put a company overview at the bottom and then our team above it, because that's more important. Product service codes. Does anyone actually use those anymore? The product service codes? I haven't seen them. I know they used to, but it's just puts a lot of extra stuff in there. I would rearrange this side of it, the right side, to put core competencies first, because that's what people want to know. They want to know, what is it you do? What is it you can do for us? So I would definitely put those up top. Then I might put a section about your clients, who some of your clients are, if you can put them by name, if you can, there we go. Put their logos, something along those lines, and then the NAICS at the bottom. So that's, yeah. And I would just eliminate this product service codes. I think it just takes up way too much space and doesn't add any value. And SAM active, I don't think that's necessary. Now you do have the logo of your Ohio WBE certification, and that's great. And then this showing the business. So yeah, I would put those across the bottom here, the two logos, as well as your NAWBO certification logo once you get it, if you haven't already. I don't know. But yeah, so you want your competencies up top, your clients, testimonials, descriptions, and then the administrative stuff like NAICS codes at the bottom. The other thing is, I don't know that your biography needs to be quite so long. It's all very impressive, but I don't know that that's what customers are really care about. So I would probably cut space there, and maybe even add. I do like the format here. I like that you're using your company color from your logo as the highlight. I like this box. So on the left, it very differentiates, it separates the two columns. I would probably, like I said, switch those two, make your bio much shorter, probably half that size, and then maybe even at the bottom, add another headline that says certifications and awards, and have their certification and award information down here. That talks about your WBE and also the Columbus CEO Best of Business awards and any other awards that you might have. So yeah, because that's more important, I think, than all of the bio stuff.
She says, I am.
Okay. Great. Okay. So yeah, so I think, you know, based on the ones that we've looked at, you can see, you know, you want them to be concise, you want them to be brand consistent, you want them to look nice and professional. You want to include the information that's important to your potential client, not necessarily information that you want to get across. Nothing personal, Sharon, but like her long resume, they don't care. They want to know what are you going to do for me? So, the with them, as we used to call it, the what's in it for me. They want the with them. So put yourself in their shoes and say, what is most important to my potential customer, and highlight that information. So for example, with Sharon's, put the core competencies on top, the services on top, because that's what's most important. They don't care about, you know, what school you went to. They care what services can you provide for them. So any last questions? And like I said, I'm happy to provide feedback if anybody else wants to take this information and go create one and send it to me in the next couple weeks. I'm happy to provide feedback. I hope this was valuable.
It was so valuable, Molly. I really, first of all, I appreciate everyone who shared their capability statements, because I know that can sometimes feel very vulnerable, and to do that publicly, I really appreciate that. And I know it helped many who, you know, were able to observe some of and listen to some of Molly's feedback. And Molly, thank you so much for everything and for all the feedback and the continued feedback. And I know you put your email in the chat in case anyone has any additional questions. And I really appreciate this. I thought it was a great session that we did today, and it was really helpful. I learned a lot, and I know we'll continue to do more sessions like this. And any closing statements from you, Molly, before we wrap it up? All good?
Nope, just for all of you who are in the program but have not submitted your application yet, please get it in. We want you to be certified. So
yes.
I know we've got a backlog of people who have signed up and registered but haven't finished submitting their application. So get it done, ladies.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
those are my final words.
We're coming out there. We're getting these women certified. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and a huge thanks again to Molly for doing such a great session for us. All right, y'all. Take care.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.